I'd like to talk a little bit about 3 or 4 or 5 items today. They're fairly common problems that people are having. The first one is cardiomyopathy, heart attack, or Keyson's disease or white muscle disease. I came across it when I was a food inspector in the military in the 60s. And literally, there was a cow that could not walk. They drug it, so to speak, into the slaughterhouse. And after it was hanging, the carcass was hanging in the cooler, and I saw it with a USDA inspector, where you would normally see all muscle, red meat and stuff, and then you'd see little white streaks going through the meat if you cut a slice off in that. It's called marbling, that's the fat going through it. It was the other way around. The muscle had turned to fat. Well, that's what Keyson's disease or white muscle disease does. That was so severe in this cow, I've never seen anything like it. That is, in a way, what cardiomyopathy, heart attack, is caused from. Same thing. What causes that to happen is basically, there's always more than one thing, but it's a lack of selenium. And a lack of selenium is what caused Bo Schembechler to die. He collapsed once on a TV show, and they raced him away, and they saved him. His heart had stopped, and they saved him and gave him a pacemaker. But they didn't give him any selenium. The wonderful wizards in the medical establishment. And I'm not putting them down, except I'm saying that they're not taught the whole truth. They're taught half-truths. If they were taught the whole truth, they'd be dealing with selenium, with cardiomyopathy. I think, if I may be a little off of my statistics, but cardiomyopathy, heart attack, for sure is the largest cause of heart attacks in America. And it's maybe by like 80 or 85%. It's pretty significant. Now, don't quote me, I may be off on that, but I know it's very significant. And it's just simply caused from a selenium deficiency. Now, in this book here, on page 99, Doc's Let's Play Doctor book, it addresses cardiomyopathy. Bo Schembechler would more than likely be alive today if they'd given him selenium supplementation. And B12, because B12 and selenium go together synergistically, etc. But selenium is the main culprit here. A lack of it causes the body to short circuit in the way that causes the heart to get irregular heartbeats, and then the heart finally gets tired, if you will, and it just stops beating. Just stops beating. As insane as that sounds. And because they gave him, Schembechler, as an example, only a pacemaker, about a month or two later he was on a TV show again, and he collapsed dead this time. And that's sad. It didn't have to happen. Now, another example of cardiomyopathy, many of you may or may not remember Evander Holyfield, heavyweight champ of the world at one time. And then all of a sudden, they discovered he had an irregular heartbeat and he stopped fighting. Well, they didn't give him a pacemaker. They gave him selenium supplementation, and he came back a year or two, whatever it was that went by, I don't remember. But sometime later, he came back and reclaimed the heavyweight title of the world. Because they gave him selenium, and I think they probably gave him some B12 because it makes selenium work better. If I'm not mistaken, one of his trainers or somebody that was connected with him knew about Doc Wallach. How that all transpired, I don't know, but I do know he did get selenium. And Dr. Wallach, I've heard him speak about it many times, using Evander Holyfield as an example. That's fairly profound, if you ask me. From one extreme, poor Bo Schembechler, and the wizards at U of M and whoever else he dealt with. And I have respect for U of M, don't get me wrong. But then you go over here to Evander Holyfield, and he had a bunch of wizards too. And they gave him selenium because of some connection with Doc Wallach or whoever it was. And he not only is still alive, but he went back to fighting. The irregular heartbeat went away. His heart became strong and sound again. In Doc Wallach's book here, Cardiomyopathy, on page 99, he addresses the selenium, and he addresses it in animals, not just in people. It's a real good explanation. It's about a half a page long. That's just an example. Yeah, I think